Hello and welcome to the Nevergrind online class skill rotation series I'll be doing for every class in the game. I'll start with Shadowknight and go with the classes as I level them, so next will be Druid. So first off, I'll go into a dungeon to actually show it in combat. We'll go with Oracle of Riven. I'll start with pre-buffs, situationals, and the constant, which is the one that you'll be using every time you lead into a fight or as you fight. So first, the pre-buff, Sanguine Harvest. This is a buff that's not only for yourself, but can go for your whole party. You're going to want to put it on yourself and then go down the line of your teammates so you know, based on your buff, when it is going to disappear, when you can refresh another's buff. That's the simplest way to do buffs in this game, and it's the most effective way to upkeep buffs at the same time. So Sanguine Harvest will give you a 10% chance for melee attacks to trigger an irresistible life drain. It's not a lot of HP, but it's really good when it procs because it's based on a kill. So if you have a lot of enemies and let's say 5 of them go down at a time, you can restore a lot of your HP, maybe like 2 bars if you're lucky. Next, we'll go into the situational. So you have Mark of Renfan, Shadow Break, and Death Strike. So Mark of Renfan, you'll put on a elite enemy, a boss enemy, or anything that generally is just tanky. It'll deal a direct fire damage attack, and it's a pretty chunky one too. And it'll give you a higher chance to hit enemies, and a higher chance to deal crits to them. That or it's crit damage. It's not explained too well, but I think... Oh, no, it does. Okay, it is crit chance. So the reason you won't be applying this on just weak enemies is because they'll die too quick. You don't have upkeep on your other skills. And it's generally just not worth it unless the enemy has lots of HP. Next is Shadow Break. This is a skill that is used to draw aggro. It's not very good. Doesn't do a lot of damage. And the only thing it does is aggro. If you have a shield, it'll have 50% more threat grab for aggro. You kind of just want to use this if there's a boss and you need to quickly pull aggro. But on another note, Death Strike, another situational you have, will instantly grab taunt 100% of the time, and it also restores 5% HP. So it's generally just a better alternative to Shadow Break. A good thing though is Death Strike and then Shadow Break if you really want to keep some aggro. So now we'll go into the constant. You have Decaying Doom, which will deal some damage, and then it'll deal a damage over time, and it'll debuff the target's armor. The reason we use this first is to make every other skill we use stronger. So next will be Astral Blade. Has a 12-second cooldown. So you use Astral Blade, and then you don't want to use Crescent Cleave right away, because Crescent Cleave is a 9-second cooldown. So if you use Vampiric Feast right after you do your Astral Blade, you'll hit every enemy, you'll regain the HP you might have lost, and you'll draw aggro from every enemy on the board. It's very good if you don't have another tank who can grab aggro better than you, and even then, it helps pull just the extras off of enemies that the other tank can't grab if you're in a group with multiple tanks. So you're going to want to go Decaying Doom, Astral Blade, then Vampiric Feast, and once you do Vampiric Feast, oh my lord, then you'll have Crescent Cleave, so you'll want to go Decaying Doom on the toughest enemy, Astral Blade on the toughest enemy. These hit multiple enemies, by the way, so try focusing your effort on an enemy that's in the middle of whatever is adjacent to it, so you can hit all of them at once, not just the toughest enemy. So if you're doing, let's say, 5 players, and you have the 10 enemies or whatever, go for the ones in the middle rather than the ones at the very left, or you're going to be doing less group damage overall because you're only hitting the very left one and the one to the right. Or if you do the right, then you'll do the one to the left. But if you do the one in the middle, you'll be hitting a cone of 5 of them. So Decaying Doom, your toughest enemy, Astral Blade them, Vampiric Feast, since it'll do everything, and then you're going to want to Crescent Cleave, and then these will both be on a 9-second cooldown, perfectly in sync with each other. And then you can Doom Thrust, which is a DOT. Then you'll have Ravaging Plague, another DOT, and Blood Terror, another DOT. Now, Blood Tether does apply fear, and what fear does is it has 50% less damage while it is feared. So you want to put this on the strongest enemy you're fighting. Now, if you want, you can do this, and you can go Blood Tether before your Doom Thrust, but I don't think it matters that much, especially if you have a healer. You don't need to worry about putting it on. But it does have almost one of the longest cooldowns out of all the DOTs, so it's not bad if you want to do it first, so it's up again when you come back. Now, as for how your rotation goes when you do this, your constant, you can Decaying Doom, Astral Blade, Vampiric Feast, and then you can Crescent Cleave, Doom Thrust, Ravaging Plague, Blood Tether, and then when you get low, you can Life Tap. So just then it's on cooldown, and if you've taken some damage, you can heal it back, because it's a really strong single target heal, while Vampiric Feast does better in groups than single target. But you want to use Vampiric Feast whenever you can to not only deal damage, dry aggro, but heal a lot. If you have 10 enemies, this can heal you to max from 1 bar if you have high blood damage. So by the time you get Decaying Doom back for your second time, this will be able to go on another enemy, so you can have 2 Decaying Dooms at once. And by the time the third one comes back, Decaying Doom on the first enemy will be gone, and you can just apply that again. As for Astral Blade, if you keep up Astral Blade, Vampiric Feast, and Crescent Cleave in an easy group, you can have Astral Blade and Crescent Cleave always on that 9-second cooldown I mentioned earlier. You can also go Astral Blade, Mark of Renfan, and then Crescent Cleave, and that'll keep them both on a 9-second cooldown. As long as the cast time is between each other, you can do any 3 of these: Vampiric Feast, Mark of Renfan, and Sanguine Harvest. So let me show the rotation in combat. So pre-buff with Sanguine Harvest. Go in. Decaying Doom, your toughest enemy. Astral Blade, it's both. Vampiric Feast hits the group. Then you have Crescent Cleave. If I did it faster, they would be on a 9-second cooldown. You can Doom Thrust, Ravaging Plague, Blood Tether, Decaying Doom, Astral Blade. I don't need to mark a Renfan for this group, but it's to show how close they can get, see? And then you'd go with Doom Thrust, Ravaging Plague, Blood Tether, and continue off of that. Use Vampiric Feast when you start getting low, or you need aggro from the whole group if you're in a group. Life Tap when you start getting low again, as this can heal you lots on a single target. Death Strike every time you lose 5% HP, or you need to taunt a tough target off of another player. And then Shadow Break, you won't do much unless you need to panic grab aggro. And it's pretty simple. I'll show it one more time. Decaying Doom, Astral Blade, Vampiric Feast, Crescent Cleave. He's about dead, I might as well just apply these on another target. Then you can Decaying Doom another. This, Mark of Renfan, Crescent Cleave, Doom Thrust, Ravaging Plague, and boom, they're all dead. It is a really good class. It focuses more on life steal, life sustain, and it's not the best tank in terms of drawing aggro, but it'll do it well in groups if you don't have any other tanks messing with you. Thank you, and that is all.